I trusted them. My best friend, their spouse, and I had a dream to buy a house together. It sounded perfect. A shared home, split responsibilities, and good times ahead. But reality, it was hell on earth. The dream crumbled, leaving me betrayed, financially drained, and emotionally wrecked. But I didn't stay down for long. Here's how I turned the tables and gave them a taste of what they deserved. The cracks started to show soon after we moved in. My friend's spouse, the so-called partner, wasn't a partner at all. They were a parasite. I was manipulated, emotionally abused, and financially used. Every bill seemed to land on my shoulders while they lounged around doing absolutely nothing. The spouse controlled everything, twisting words, guilt-tripping, and gaslighting me into thinking I was the problem. My friend, they just sat there oblivious, eating up the lies their spouse fed them. Then came the breaking point. It was months of simmering rage and frustration, and finally, I had enough. I moved out, leaving them to fend for themselves. But it didn't end there. Oh no. Once I left, the spouse ramped up their manipulation game. They started making vague threats, spreading lies about me, and turning my friend against me. My best friend, the person who once stood by my side, suddenly became an enemy. They painted me as the villain, blaming me for everything that went wrong. It was their way of dodging accountability, and for a while it worked. They thought they had won. They thought I was powerless. What they didn't know was that I had a plan. They depended on me financially for everything, and now that I was gone, they were sinking fast. They didn't realize I'd been consulting with a lawyer to sever all ties to that cursed house. I was done carrying their dead weight. The mortgage was in default because, of course, they weren't paying a dime. Their plan? To guilt me into bailing them out. My plan? Let them drown in their own mess. After exhausting every option to sell the house and avoid bankruptcy, I decided to go nuclear. I filed for bankruptcy, wiping my hands clean of the debt and the house. They wouldn't find out until the court notified them. By the time they realized, it would be too late to retaliate. The safety net they'd grown so used to was gone. But the real revenge wasn't just about the house or the money, it was about me. While they were flailing, scrambling to stay afloat, I was thriving. My health, which had been in shambles while living with them, rebounded almost immediately. I started focusing on myself for the first time in years. I reconnected with old friends, strengthened my family relationships, and even got into an incredible school program that set me on a path to success. Meanwhile, their world was falling apart. The house was a ticking time bomb. No payments, no safety net, and no one left to blame but themselves. I watched from afar as they spiraled, feeding off the updates my mediator shared. The spouse, who thought they could bully and manipulate their way through life, was now facing the consequences of their own laziness and greed. The spouse's so-called charm couldn't save them now. Debt collectors were circling like vultures and their lies were catching up with them. My friend, who had sided with their spouse, now found themselves stuck in the wreckage. They chose the wrong side, and now they were paying the price. And me, I was free. Free from their drama, free from their toxicity, and free from the financial burden they'd shackled me with. I didn't just survive, I thrived. I didn't need to yell, scream, or fight back. My success and happiness were enough to crush them. Every step forward I took was a reminder of how far they'd fallen. Revenge doesn't always have to be loud. Sometimes it's silent and devastating. While they're left to rot in the ruins of their own making, I'm out here building a life they can only dream of. My revenge wasn't just leaving them behind, it was showing them that I never needed them in the first place. Karma has a funny way of balancing the scales, and this time I made sure it hit them like a freight train.